Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today we're in rarefied podcasting air, really. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's Saturday afternoon here in Australia. The sun is shining. There's no children in the house. And we've been blessed by one of our most popular and regular guests, Catherine Kneen. How you going, Catherine?
I'm pretty good, yes. Lovely sunny day and we're inside.
Well, in my defence, I did mow the lawns before you came over as well. So
I did go for a walk.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
See, we've earned our stripes. So a bit of background of why we're doing this thing on a Saturday afternoon. I have upgraded my podcasting gear and it needed a new home, my old reliable gear. So Catherine, who's resurrected that Geek pod lately, as you may or may not have known, needed a few more odds and sods.
Yes.
And we had some stuff that were just sitting around ready to be snapped up. Always
happy to give a new home to much loved equipment.
I know. I was just thinking about that. I'm going, we've had some good times. I mean, that gear is, some of it's, went to Celebration. The little recorder, obviously. The deck didn't go. Hang on, did the deck go? No. Hang on, did it? I can't remember now. No, I don't think I did.
I don't think I remember seeing it pulled out.
No, I think I just had the recorder with the little split thing on it. Oh, goodness me. Maybe it did. Anyway, it's okay. But I do remember buying it on Facebook Marketplace from some dude out in the burbs and going out there and getting it and thinking, I'll give this podcast thing a go. And we're on, well, depending when this comes out, this will be 93 or 94.
Oh.
So...
Big live one for the 100.
Yeah, all the fans are going to rock up. I think you got me mixed up with somebody else on that one. No, I don't think so. I have got a couple of ideas of what I might do for guests and stuff. There's a famous Australian musician who's a big Star Wars fan who we do interact with on Twitter a lot, who has expressed interest in being on. So would like to tap them if possible.
Yeah.
That'd be quite fitting for the 100, I think.
Yeah.
Or it might just be you and me talking, which would be fine, really. Yeah, I don't know. It'll just be, it'll be, a couple of months still. I was kind of like, maybe it'll roll into Celebration. If Celebration had been on this time last year, I probably would have wrangled it. So I did 100 at Celebration because it would have been pretty close to.
Yeah.
Either just stall a couple of weeks off or, squeeze some out really quickly. But
yeah.
100.
100.
Oh, God, that seems like a lot.
Triple figures,
I know. I might have to change the artwork. I think I've only stupidly... It's like I'm looking at the Black Series boxes over there. They've got the big numbers on the side. Like you can sort of see one down there. Probably can't quite see, Catherine, but they've got the numbers. And then what number are they up to there? So I've got the newer ones. Hang on, I'm just walking away from the thing. So if I pull one off the shelf there, like Finn, well, there you go. Here's literally number 1.
Oh, that's awesome.
01, but that 01 takes up the whole. There's no room to squeeze in another digit there.
No.
I'm just trying to see what's one of the newer ones. Oh, hang on, we've got a Cara Dune and a Yavin Luke here.
Yeah,
this is the Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, the Luke Skywalker.
There you go, perfect. 100. Oh, they've just made the font smaller.
Yeah.
I don't know. And they've also misspelled Skywalker.
You ended up with the misspelt one. Excellent.
I think they were all. I was kind of like, I've got to get the misspelt one, but I think they were all just misspelt. I think they just completely blew it. And then I'll just put him back up there. And then I've got, thanks to you, number 101, Cara Dune. There she is.
Awesome.
Very good figure, that one, actually.
Yeah. That was good old Kmart find.
I know. Yeah, we were just saying before we started that I went to Kmart yesterday and check into the toy section and there was not much going on. They had those sort of taller figures like the Darth Vader ones and they had sort of like a couple of First Order Stormtroopers and that was about it.
Yeah.
Slim pickings. But then I went to the reject shop where I've gotten stuff before and they had a whole shelf of Rogue One figures.
I love Rogue One, but how many Rogue One figures did they bring out to Australia?
Must still be like a warehouse of them somewhere where they just can't give them away. Yeah. It wasn't just like they had 5. It was like there was literally like 10 pegs all full of Rogue One stuff. Kind of weird because it was like there was like Jin, Chirrut, a lot of Cassian Andors there. Yep. If you want to stock up on some 3 3/4 Cassian Andors for $5. Have you got the 3-inch?
Yes, I've got one in packet, one unpacked. I haven't got one in a safety deposit box.
Well, it seems like there's a whole bunch of warehouses of them anyway.
Yeah.
So,
But what I do want of the Cassian, I've got one of the vintage where he's in the brown jacket.
oh yeah,
But I would like another one of that, which I think is on a Amazon wish list or something. And another Cassian figure, like this steel cast, die cast thing that, again, from Amazon. It's like, well, why didn't I ever see the vintage Cassian out and about?
in the wild.
Yeah.
Wow, and maybe they got burnt on these figures. That was the thing, because they had like Cassian, Jin, Chirrut for some reason, no Mendo, and then they had a bunch of Darth Vaders, but I guess technically Darth Vader is in Rogue One. And then they had a bunch of Leias from
Forces
Rebels.
Rebels.
From the one episode she was in Rebels.
Yeah.
So it's in this weird outfit. And then there was a couple of Reys in that packaging, that darker packaging. So there was a few Reys as well. So weird line. I don't know. It was just so weird because I've been going to the reject shop for ages trying to look like, because for a while there they were having Black Series and cheap and it was all sorts of, and there's just been nothing for months. And then I was like, oh, I'll just walk in. And then there's just this wall of Star Wars figures. And I went, oh, great. Like, oh,
Yeah.
Rogue One stuff.
Yeah, like the last ones I got were from Toy World, and they were pretty cheap. So I got that's why I've ended up with the two Mendos of that figure.
Yep.
Yeah, one unpacked, one in packet. And have I ended up with two Black Series of Mendo? I've got 4 Black Series of Cassian.
Yep. In that puffer jacket.
Yep. I want him in the brown jacket.
Well, hopefully when the show comes out, we're already on Cassian talk here, as you can tell. We've got Catherine on board.
Of course.
That, they'll bring another one out, but who knows?
Hope so.
Well, there's no, they just did all this Toy Fair stuff the other day, and there was no Rise of Skywalker stuff.
Yeah, the lack of Rise of Skywalking merch has been a bit surprising. I mean, some just generic Star Wars stuff has been out.
Yeah.
But nothing specific Rise of Skywalker as far as I could see.
They'd have a Dark Ray Black Series or Ray in the Hood or it was all that talk of can they do a Poe Dameron where he's not going to look terrible? Where's that one? It's just, I think there's a Zori Bliss that's coming out, but I'm pretty sure that's been on the cards for a while.
Yeah, you'd think. Yeah, but they need a Poe in the scarf and the rolled up sleeves.
Jungle Adventurer Poe,
Yeah. Yep. Poe looking very Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's just funny about Indiana Jones this week that apparently Steven Spielberg says I'm going to be involved, but I'm not going to direct Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah, did they say why?
I think it was just a bit
I didn't read the article.
The guy's got a lot on his plate. He's done 4 of them. Yeah. There's probably, Steven Spielberg must be in his 70s now. He might be there are actually a lot of movies I want to make. I don't really want to commit 3 years to making Indiana Jones. I'm quite happy for him to do it. I'll oversee it. I'll executive produce.
He's a multitasker, Steven Spielberg.
He does can make a lot of 2 movies in a year and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the classic story with him is, of course, doing Schindler's List and Jurassic Park, back to back.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 contrasting movies you could.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I
just
guess
astounding.
He was 25 years younger there, though, I suppose, but still.
Let's not do the maths on that.
Was that 92, 93? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always sort of go Indiana Jones is synonymous with Steven Spielberg, I suppose, but
I think
it doesn't
Steven
mean that
Spielberg
you get a bad Indiana Jones movie. I mean, the last one wasn't amazing anyway.
No.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess at the same time, you're like, oh, the last one wasn't amazing. It'd be great if he came back and knocked it out of the park and then parked and, and was like, yep, that's done. That one's really good. I can, I don't know. I was watching, there was this thing on YouTube last night of Vanity Fair had Harrison Ford on doing they do career breakdown kind of things.
Yeah.
And I guess because he's doing all this promo because he's got that talking dog movie. Oh, he's not. The dog doesn't talk. He talks to the dog or whatever it is. Sorry.
I was like, talking dog movie? Tell me more.
He's in Scooby-Doo 3. Harrison Ford is Shaggy. if you know anything about Harrison Ford, that probably may not seem that outrageous, actually. So it was quite funny. He was just sort of talking about, his career and things, but he was much more. He barely touched on Star Wars. He was a bit like the story everyone's heard a million times. Like I was, doing carpentry in Francis Ford Coppola's office, and George needed someone to read against, and he didn't want people from he had in other movies. And then eventually I got the role, and I said yes, and that was about it really. And then Indiana Jones was like, yeah, Tom Selleck was going to do it, and then he couldn't do it, and then they just said, "Will you come out and read this thing?" And then I did it, and that was and then he got into stuff like Mosquito Witness or Mosquito Coast or.
Did he talk The Fugitive?
Talk The Fugitive,
awesome.
Talk Blade Runner. Like he was much more interested in talking about the movies, doesn't talk, and it was quite funny because he's like, when you're in really popular films, people want to talk about them all the time, and that's obviously why he was more interested to talk about. Like, hey, I'll talk about Witness or all these other, all these, even like Clear and Present Danger is just like, oh, I really love doing that and doing these other, these other movies and things. It's just like, hey, but I don't have to talk about Star Wars one day in my life.
This is the thing with Harrison Ford. I don't think he hates Star Wars. I think he's just wants to talk about other things as well. He doesn't mind having a slight chat, but get me onto other things.
Given that he's done so much, that it is just like a few years of his life. He's just like, hey, I did this thing for like 5 years of my life in my 30s.
Yeah.
And that's all people want to talk about. I'm in my 70s, nearly 80s, and I've done all, there's, if you go to like a Star Wars convention and there's people there and it's like Anthony Daniels being the perfect example of that is the biggest thing that has ever and will ever happen to him. And he has absolutely made the most of it. Good on him.
Absolutely.
But what's your second favorite Anthony Daniels thing that's not Star Wars? And it can't be anything Star Wars related. Yeah.
Look. My second favourite thing that Dennis Lawson has done is new tricks. So, man.
Oh, well, there you go. But again, Dennis Lawson doesn't want to talk about Star Wars. So...
He should.
Harrison Ford is just like, hey, I've done lots of stuff. I'm Harrison Ford. I'm arguably the biggest movie star of the 20th century. I've done a fair bit of stuff. So the fact that this thing is and it's not like he doesn't get it. He's not like, why do people want to talk about Star Wars? He's like, I get it. People love it. It's huge. But, I was already ready to move on before it was done.
But I'm so happy he came back to do that scene with Kylo / Ben. I think that really, for the sequel trilogy and for the characters, I think it was really, really meaningful. Yeah. And I really liked it. I'm really glad he did it.
Like, they asked me to do it and I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll come in for a day.
I think especially with Carrie going and he could see, okay, this is a way to help with it all and
tie a little bow on it, I think.
And that was a really good scene. That was a really good scene.
Did you think you were going to... I mean, I was surprised that that Han Solo was in it at all.
Yeah.
Did you think that there was any chance all three would be on screen in Rise of Skywalker in some scene, whether it was a flashback or whether they youngified them or...
No. I didn't
in a post-Carrie world, like post-Carrie world? Like, I think if Carrie had been alive, maybe they might have... Like, I thought, maybe they'd do a scene where they flash back to before Ben Solo gets sent off or something. You know what I mean? Then you can have... They can be kind of the same age, maybe not quite. You don't have to young them down too much. It wouldn't look too weird, but...
Yeah. I don't think I thought that. I think flashbacks are just... We don't really have them in Star Wars.
But we did, like, they had the training flashback in this.
Yeah, we ended up having that.
They had the flashback of Rey's, like, parents getting stabbed, and there was actually quite a lot. Like, that's the thing. Like,
Rise of Skywalker,
they did it anyway. Like, I was kind of like, they've kind of... You got young Han and young Luke, doing their training and stuff. Like, you almost could have just panned that camera to the right and had, like, Han just sort of...
They're going,
like, like literally just looking in, like, what's going on here, kind of thing. Like, I know it would have been cheap, but I think, that's.
No, I think before the sequel trilogy, I did think we would get the three of them together in Force Awakens.
Yeah,
I thought that would happen, even if just for a scene.
I think if they'd known, I mean, no one could predict the future.
No.
If they had known that Carrie wouldn't have been alive, they would have done something earlier.
Yeah.
And maybe even rethought the whole thing. But I mean, you can't predict these things. So it's just, it's the way it is, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
How's it all sort of sitting with you in this post? I think it's out on digital in like a few weeks.
Yes, it's very quick. And I think last weekend I was looking and there was still one session a day at like Southland.
Oh, well, there's still a session, was there?
Yeah.
Because I've been looking, because I'm on leave still and I've been going to the movies during the day. And the last couple of weeks has been sort of slim pickings, really. It was good sort of earlier in the year because it was all the post-Oscar stuff, like 1917, Jojo Rabbit, sort of stuff. And then, I went and saw Sonic the Hedgehog last week. I'm like, well, I'll just go. And to be honest, wasn't that bad. It was pretty watchable. Yeah. But then last week, I didn't go see Harrison Ford Talking Dog movie. I was like, I had a few things to do. Like, I could have squeezed it in if I had to. Yeah. But I'm going, if it was still, if Rise of Skywalker was just showing like once during the middle of the day, I probably would just go down and watch it, even if it was at Chatty or one of the other ones. But it's, so it's still got the one. You haven't been tempted to roll down and...
No, because I get the guilt. I'm going, there's other movies out there
It'll be on digital
see.
in a few weeks. And well, we went to last time we caught up, we went to the Astor. Yeah. With Matt from Blue Bantha Milk and a couple of his friends, I think his partner and a couple of their friends. And Andy, Hobbit Feed Andy came down as well. And then we went down to the bar and caught up with Tracy afterwards. And that was a really good viewing experience, actually.
It really was. And I was really happy to see it. That was my 4th time. Mm-hmm. The 3rd time, I'd been quite distracted during the watching of it. I was more thinking about, this bit could have been improved by this. I'll send that email to that podcast. I'll send that tweet. And so when you walk out going, I wasn't really concentrating on a lot of the movie, you kind of go, well, I think I'm done. Mm-hmm. I think I'm done seeing it. So going that 4th time, part of it was to catch up with you all, and it was like, also I hadn't been to the Astor before. I know, I'm very...
Beautiful cinema.
Very un-Melbourne of me. But that 4th time was far more relaxing and I enjoyed it more. Yeah, so...
Just watched it without the weight of expectation. You had some time in between as well. And, and I think it was... Like when Andy and Steph were here a few weeks ago, and Andy was really, he was sort of struggling with the movie and kind of going, why don't I like it more? And on paper, even though there's things in it that I don't like, it's still got so much Star Wars. I should be enjoying it more. Yeah. And I think he even said he said I'm not, he goes, I don't love it like the others, but I watched it with a lot less pressure and a lot less. The first time you're watching it, because like the adrenaline, the midnight thing. Yeah. And then the second time, if it didn't quite work, you're like, I've got to, maybe something's wrong. Or maybe I'm not concentrating. Maybe I need to do more push-ups. Or, you know what I mean? Like I need to try harder. And I think by the time you got to the 3rd or 4th or whatever it was, it sort of washed over. But we had it was really good. We were sort of, the Astor's like a really big old school Art Deco cinema, 2 levels. So we were upstairs. We were like eye level with this huge screen. We were sort of just enough seats from the front. But it was, I didn't see downstairs because we were upstairs, but it was quite full. And it seemed like a lot of people hadn't seen the movie before and quite enjoyed it. Like everyone was laughing and at the right spots.
And gasping, and it was, sounds of people who had not seen the movie before. Yeah,
which was cool because it was almost like that early... Well, it's not midnight because obviously it's a lot more hardcore, but it's still like, punters and, because I remember going to one screening, it might have been... Was it... I can't remember if it was the one with you or maybe it was one after where people were laughing. People? Oh, I did shush somebody because they were talking. Yeah. But, Star Wars, come on.
Yeah.
No, I think it was...
I shush people.
I think it was the one after that where some people were like laughed when Ben Solo died and things. But I don't think they laughed at him dying. I think they looked at the ridiculousness of the way that it happened. You know what I mean? Like I think more than anything. But then the one that we went to at the Astor, it was... Everybody was into it. Everyone gasped at the kiss or oohed at the kiss and then sort of... Yeah.
And then Han Solo... When he appeared again, I think there was like the intakes, and it was a really good experience that 4th time round. So that was good. That was a good one to leave on. So I'm done.
It'll just sort of, I'll get it and it'll sit on the shelf and then it'll be on Disney Plus soon, and then I'll check in on Disney Plus every now and then, and I'll probably watch it like I do when I get a chance to. Yeah, I've been going back to Disney Plus quite a lot, actually. Like, I just went back and watched the 2 Avengers, the new ones, they had the commentary tracks, so I went back and watched which were all right. They weren't really giving away crazy insight things, but it was just quite interesting, them sort of talking about it. And although I did watch, I watched, for whatever reason, I did Endgame with the commentary before Infinity War. So I did the second one before the first one. Yeah. And then you go back and you watch Infinity, and they're really coy about not giving anything. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know what's going to happen. But like, obviously, Infinity War, they could just talk about everything a lot more. But I hope we get a JJ commentary on. Yeah.
I do like director commentaries to really get into what they were thinking. I like commentaries just full stop. Yeah. I want commentaries on all of Mandalorian.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Werner Herzog also.
Commentary.
Yep.
That'd be good. Have you been watching Clone Wars yet?
Yes. I didn't manage my full rewatch. I'll still get through that, but yeah, I'm keeping up with the new episodes as they drop.
So you watched the new one last
night? Yes. That was a good episode. That was good. Yeah.
Now, if you've listened to last week, I'm just trying to remember whether it was on. I can't remember. I haven't listened back. Actually, Catherine, you've listened to last week's episode because I was on Dallas's podcast Tark and Tangents on his Patreon show with Emily, and we talked about Clone Wars. I can't remember. Did I say on that or on my show that I fell asleep the first time I watched Clone Wars?
No, I can't remember you saying that.
Well, there it is. It's out there now. Yeah. So I watched the first episode last week. When it came back, we were down at the country at my parents' house, and we'd been to the local show, which is like a state fair for people in America. So it was a long day. We had the kids in the sun, and then my partner was unwell, Kat, and she went to bed early, and I was like, all right, I'll put Clone Wars on. I'll watch it. No one's in the house. Everyone's asleep. And I got about halfway through and then woke up and realized that I'd fallen asleep in the last 15. I'm like, oh my God, Corey Van Dyke would be so disappointed in me. I did go back and rewatch it afterwards and quite enjoyed it. Yeah. But then the episode last night was actually, really good.
It was really good. And I really liked how they confirmed that Obi-Wan knows about Anakin and Padme. That it's been something we've been speculating and being pretty much like, oh, he knows for years.
He knows something's up.
But to hear it confirmed,
he didn't even like subtly, he's just like, say hi to Padme for me, wink, wink.
Yeah. And Anakin just turning and looking at him and just like, yep.
I was a bit sort of like, oh, that's interesting that they're playing that. It does make you go like, oh, should I go back and watch Revenge of the Sith through a slightly different lens now? I'd have to check, but
I think...
Which is weird also, because it's like, if Anakin... I know that he knows, she knows.
Yeah.
If Anakin knows that Obi-Wan knows.
Yeah.
And then he gets all pissy, then he's like, you're here with him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, cause, early in the thing, she's just like, we don't need Obi-Wan's help, or, because of Obi-Wan and da-da-da-da, he gets really sort of suspicious of Obi-Wan. Like, surely he would be less suspicious of him, because he's like, well, he knows what the deal is.
But I think, okay, now I'm really speculating. Maybe in Anakin's head, it's like, well, Obi-Wan knows that Padme and I are close. Is he trying to cut my lunch, as it were? Is he trying to move in on my girl?
No, he knows that she likes Jedis.
Well,
it's like, I never thought I'd have a chance because I just thought she wouldn't go for Jedis. But now I know that, she's quite happy to deal with the baggage.
Yeah, possibly, one thing, almost thinking of this in like the high school way of, if your friend is, talking up a girl you like, it's bad if he knows you like her, but if he doesn't know you like her, then... So, okay.
The high school teacher here who's heard it all before is coming out here.
And I've watched many a teen movie.
Right, yeah. Maybe this
and Degrassi Junior High.
Yeah. Star Wars. Let me tell you why Star Wars is like Degrassi. So Anakin is Joey Jeremiah, and
Joey Jeremiah.
Obi-Wan is Wheels. Or
no.
I'm just remembering names off the top of my head. Or Snake. Is there a Snake?
There's Snake. Snake is the sweetest.
Snake's not the one who killed himself, is he?
No, Snake's the one who found Claude who killed himself.
Right. I knew there was some sort of connection there.
Yeah.
God.
I've watched that a lot.
My goodness.
A lot. And I have some books. And when I go to Toronto, I want to do the Degrassi reality tour, but they'd probably take me to all the places that the new Degrassi filmed. I'm like, I'm not interested in that.
I don't know about Drake. Just tell me about what Spike's up to.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's all coming back. I've just pulled 5 Degrassi names out the top of my head. So Anakin's Joey Jeremiah, and Obi-Wan's probably more like a teacher or something anyway, really. I don't know.
Yeah, he's not Mr.
I can't
Radcliffe.
remember enough. So anyway, Obi-Wan clearly knows what's going on, or at least knows that he's talking to Padme on the sly.
Yeah, he definitely knows the two of them are close.
Where does Anakin live?
Yeah.
Does Anakin live at the temple? Does he have his own apartment? Do Jedis all have little bunk rooms and stuff at the temple?
It's been, you never see that. Maybe you've seen Yoda's meditation room.
But does Anakin have a bedroom where he hangs his clothes up, has posters on the wall? He's 20 years old, so he'd have his CDs, and he'd have, he'd probably be pretty messy, but
yeah, you'd think that all have their own
little quarters or something.
Yeah, cell or you'd think the Padawans would have a bunk room.
Yeah, but they're adults. Even police get to go home. Go home.
Yeah.
Or is he just staying at Padme's house every night and just hoping people don't notice? That's where he turns up. He just says, "Oh, look, I'm just here to, I'm private security or something."
Yeah, I think there were a lot of people turning a blind eye to what Anakin was doing.
Have you seen that movie Behind the Candelabra, where Michael Douglas plays Liberace?
No,
where he gets his boyfriend and then moves him in, and he becomes his driver and his assistant, and then he starts getting they have obviously lived together and stuff. So Anakin's kind of Padme's Liberace, and Anakin is just the help who kind of moves in and is okay.
Yeah.
People that's a bit weird that he lives with his driver.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that people knew that they were married, but definitely Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, and even Yoda to an extent know that they are close, because Yoda asked Anakin to approach Padme about doing a mission for the Jedi.
Yep.
But even to the point of, R2 is always going on missions with Anakin. R2 belongs to Padme. Why is R2 going?
Do you think they just kind of we've got to turn a blind eye to this. He's too powerful to annoy. We could keep him on somewhat of a shortish leash, or a longish leash, because he just.
Does it speak
to
about
Ahsoka as well? Yeah.
Yeah. Does it speak to the hubris of the Jedi? They just these are the rules, but we'll just turn a blind eye to people
mucking around.
Yeah.
As long as it's sort of the job gets done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the job gets done, if you keep it on the down low.
Well, that's the thing. It's just, all the other Jedi's hey, man, I followed your stupid rules. You just let Anakin, shack up with the hot senator. And, we're out here, Obi-Wan had to give up his girlfriend.
Yeah. Oh, Satine. Duchess Satine. I haven't gotten
to that arc yet.
That arc is coming up because I'm on the rewatch on season 5.
Ah.
So, yeah.
Get the tissues ready.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, the Clone Wars has been good. It's just the Clone Wars. This is more of the same. I wasn't expecting it to be all of a sudden it's just gone up a total level to Mandalorian levels or something like that. I just thought as long as it's as good as it was, the people who were really excited will be happy, and then casual people are this is pretty good, and away they go. Yeah. So,
I mean, obviously this is not a huge, massive, ground shifting arc. It is pretty big, with Echo being not dead, but it's pretty obvious because season 6 was cut sort of halfway through, so having Bad Batch after that would have flowed okay. Having this as a welcome back after a big break is,
you kind of want, if you're going to go to all the trouble to bring it back, and I think I might have brought this up with Dallas, either on his show or mine. I can't tell the difference because we did them all one hit. Was you kind of you want the killer, don't you? If you're going to bring it back and you're only bringing back 12, you don't want to start going like, geez, 6 of these, kind of, why bother? I don't know. Like, is it too much to go like, hey, we've got to have all these crazy resolutions when it's actually just leading up into a movie where we see what happens anyway? You know what I mean? Like, is it unfair to say we can't be getting all this stuff that's going to crazy turn it on its head?
Yeah.
Like the fact that you said that like Anakin and Obi-Wan knows about them, that feels like you could have almost ended the series on that. Yeah. Like that could have been the last thing where he's just like, well, and then lead into because that would have put an interesting little spin on when you watch Revenge of the Sith from that point. Well, I guess it still does. But
I might have to go back and rewatch Revenge of the Sith.
When's the last time you watched from start to finish? Can you remember?
That one not so long ago, like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, maybe not that long ago because I think of the prequels I liked it the most, and I think getting more and more into Star Wars, I was really deep into Star Wars over these last few years. I'm enjoying it more.
Yep.
And I think having watched Clone Wars through a couple of times, it does bring more to Revenge of the Sith.
It makes it easier to enjoy. I think the prequels in general are, and I think this will be the same with Rise of Skywalker, I think eventually. They're easier to enjoy when there's not so much hanging on them.
Yeah.
When the prequels came back, it was like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is Star Wars. And now you can kind of go, oh, well, we've got like all these other movies now. There's like 6 movies since then or whatever it is. They just become part of the library. Like it's not the be all and end all.
Yeah.
I can just go back and enjoy the bits I like and, whatever. And every time I've gone back and watched, we did Phantom Menace commentary.
Yeah.
You and me and Andy a little while ago. And I really enjoyed watching. Obviously, you're talking over it, but you're still sort of watching it. And then I have gone back and I watched Attack of the Clones from start to finish and enjoyed that quite a bit. And I've talked about doing Revenge of the Sith commentary with my cousin Eli, who was on the show ages and ages ago. And I've really got to tap him, actually. We've talked about doing that. So maybe that's when I'll come back and do it. Or maybe, depending on where this Clone Wars goes, maybe you'll finish Clone Wars and you'll be like,
I think it'll run. I think it'll run.
Do you reckon it'll run in? Do you reckon it'll run over?
Oh, because I think the plan always was to end it with the kidnapping of the Chancellor.
Yep.
So whether it will still do that or run even a little bit over, because I really want to know how Rex got his chip out and got out of everything.
Yeah, that's kind of what you want to see, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you almost want to see that last episode being where, I don't know, he gets a freaking lightning bolt to the head or something or whatever it is and gets up and he looks around, all the clones are just shooting Jedis and he's just going like, what?
Because he wasn't in Revenge of the Sith, as far as I know. Cody was.
Cody is, yeah.
Yeah, Cody was because he gave Obi-Wan his lightsaber back after the fall, and then it was not long after that he got the Order 66 message.
Yeah, takes a shot at him, doesn't he?
Yeah, and then, the chip flipped him on.
That's interesting, isn't it? Well, I guess surely they'll touch on that. I mean, that'd be a great way to end it. That he, I don't know, maybe something happens to him in the next couple of episodes where he gets out, he gets captured, he gets lost, he comes back. I don't know I think they touched on it in Rebels where the clones kind of go, hey, we went mental for a bit and then we kind of, because they don't, like, how long does it just go for? Because it's sort of... Because you remember there's an episode where they find the clone where his triggers early. And he's just like, kill the channel. But he goes, like, mental. But they don't all kind of go that. They just kind of go, oh, okay, well, I guess we're killing Jedis now. Like, they don't sort of...
Yeah, that's a season 6 episode.
Look at you pulling the seasons out of the...
God, I'm a nerd. No, that's a vital arc, though, to find out, well, why did the clones do that? And I'm so glad that they finished off that part of season 6. So we got that episode. So we got like, right, okay, they had a chip in their head. And
I just remember being really frustrated with that, going, why didn't they just investigate this a little bit more?
That is, again, the hubris of the Jedi. It is. It was very frustrating that you have
Revenge of the Sith in general can be frustrating because
Yeah.
you just watch and just like, oh, this is just going, stop. Somebody just take a second and,
Yeah. But with that arc, that's where we lose Fives, because he's on the trail of something has been done to us.
Yeah.
And he's the one who figures it out, and he pays with his life.
Yeah.
And, we'd seen Fives from training to death, and so that was pretty...
Because there's a couple of, like, when Rex comes back into Rebels, he's got some mates with him. Like, he's got other clones. They're all kind of old. One
called Wolf, I think.
Yeah.
And I noticed it just in this last rewatch. I think he was one of the clones with 3PO and R2 when they went on their bizarre into Under the Earth adventure. So they might be Wolf might be one of like Mace Windu's clones.
Right.
I think.
So there must be a point where it either just wears off.
I don't.
Well, it must be a point where it either wears off, or there's no more Jedis, the order doesn't count anymore, or they just Palpatine's like, well, I don't need to keep running this interference anymore, and they can just go back to, because I mean, obviously they phase the clones out after the war anyway. I guess because it's, I don't know, for whatever reason. I don't know. Do they just flick a switch and they just start moving to stormtroopers pretty quickly, don't they?
I think so.
This is where I need someone like Corey. He would know all this kind of stuff, or someone a bit more hardcore, or Alex and Molly or someone like that. Although you're doing a pretty good job here, you've answered most of my questions.
I sort of remember a little bit from the Tarkin novel, where Tarkin's looking at some stormtroopers and recognizing that there's an older one who was a clone.
Yep. And
he was visibly older, and he was a leftover clone still.
Yeah, right. So I mean, whether they either age out or they just, I mean, they age fastest, they just expire eventually. But maybe it's related to the chip as well. Maybe the chip makes you age quicker, and if Rex gets it out, he's like, all right, you're aging slows now because you've got that stupid thing in your head. But
it's definitely,
I'm sure it's written down somewhere.
The cloning process, because you think Boba Fett, he ages at a normal rate, whereas the actual clones, they age up quickly to get to full fighting age.
Yeah, well, like, Boba Fett still looks like he's about 20 in Rebels or younger or whatever. But Rex is he's in his 60s or whatever. So, yeah. Oh, gosh, all that Clone Wars talk, it's just sort of... Yeah, so it's been good. It's been good for it to come back. So we should touch on what did you think of the Project Luminous?
Really interesting.
Get you excited? I mean, was it kind of like, oh, this is what I thought it was just because of what people have been talking about? It wasn't like I went, what?
No, it wasn't mind-blowing. I have to admit, 200 years ago doesn't seem long enough.
Yeah, people have been saying that a lot, actually.
I think just because the Star Wars galaxy seems pretty staid and rigid in what it is. Its technology doesn't develop very fast, that you think possibly things have been like this for quite a long time. You think the Jedi are well established there in Coruscant.
Yep.
Senate is well established. Maybe further back than 200 years ago would be more interesting.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. I'm just going to keep referencing because I'm not sure when Tarkin Tangent comes out, so I'm just going to reference it because the news is out now.
Yeah.
You can hear the recap later on when you get subscribed to the Bad Motivators Patreon, everybody. I think that they did it purposely because they want to hold their powder on Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
They didn't want to butt up against that because they want to keep that in their pocket. So I think they're going, we don't want to go that far back because we don't want to overwrite anything there yet because we want to cherry pick that era.
Okay.
Like whenever we get around to doing it, which we probably will because it's a part of Star Wars that's got a lot of fans. So we don't want to erase that because, we might need it if this thing falls in the toilet or whatever. If we run out of stuff, it's good to be able to have that and not go, oh, well, you just went and contradicted all of this stuff with this High Republic thing. So if we go 200 years back, we're not touching any of that. We've got Yoda in our pocket if we need to have a little bit of recognition, but also we've not got, there's no Skywalkers, there's no... But again, it's sort of... I can see what you mean. Like visually, from a design point of view, is it going to look much different to the prequels? They look a little bit more sort of, I don't know, flowy. They look like how high elves or something. Jodie Whittaker is a Jedi now. Apparently, hey, I'm all for that.
Hey,
I'd love to see
that'd
the
be
Doctor
awesome.
with a lightsaber.
Yep. Yes. Now I've got David Tennant in my mind.
Well,
with a
Matt
lightsaber.
Smith was supposed to be in Rise of Skywalker. We never heard about that. So give me Jodie Whittaker all day, as long as she gets to keep her Yorkshire accent.
Yeah. So yeah, you're probably right that having it that 200 years still leaves a lot for any movies or TV series to cover. Visually, that they could at some stage.
Yeah,
and I hope they do.
It's just enough to remove themselves from what we know and not butt up against stuff that other people know. Like it's a little like kind of what's going on in this spot we don't really know.
Yeah. So do you think they're whiteboard of our ideas?
Oh yeah.
You think they'll transplant some of those onto
like dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs! Exclamation mark.
Yeah. Well, there was the dinosaurs in Trusa Bakura. They were like dinosaurs that were in that. There was a lot of talent in that room.
Yeah.
And obviously it's been a really interesting thing where they've just gone, let's get a bunch of really talented people who know Star Wars and have written great stuff and give them a period of time where they can completely play around. There's no consequences. The only thing you can't do is don't kill Yoda if you include Yoda. Maybe Yoda hasn't joined the Jedis yet. No one said he's been a Jedi for all the time he's been alive. He could have, he's 900 years old. Maybe he only joined the Jedis when he was 800 years old.
Yeah.
He might not have been around. He's like, hey, the other 700 years of my life, I was kicking around. I had a hold of the knife. I ran a restaurant or did other stuff. You never know. So, and apart from that, they can pretty much do whatever they want. And if they strike a chord with a character or some characters or an event or something that they can springboard off, then they've got a built-in bit of IP that they can pull out of.
Yeah. But I do like the fact they were all in the room and and they're mapping things out, because I do like the idea that
They've got a plan.
They've got a plan.
Yep.
They've got a whiteboard with red string and
the meme of Charlie from Always Sunny pulling the I think so too. And the thing is, in the scheme of things, writing books is pretty cheap. They're not going to, if it doesn't jive and people don't like it, it's pretty easy to shut down and you haven't really lost much. If they go drop $250 million on trying to sell a new period of Star Wars and the first one's just people like, I don't know about this, it can kill it. It's not going to kill it, but it's going to dent it. It's a massive, it's a massive risk. This is the riskiest time for them. Can they stand on their own 2 feet, cut themselves from the Skywalker teat and, try something new? And like I said, they've got that Knights of the Old Republic is a ace that they can come back to.
Yeah.
And I think they're going like, we don't want to spoil that yet because we might need it if this thing doesn't work. But if it works, shit, we've got a whole new thing we can just pull out of now. Yeah.
You think, that's a great sort of filmic or TV type of thing. This, can just be its own little
this
thing.
could be.
Yeah.
Potentially it could be. You never know. Like, you just don't,
people,
like someone like Dr. Aphra came out of the comics and people go like, she'd be great for a TV show. She wouldn't. She's just a character that they developed in the comics, worked really well. You could potentially pull her out and do something with her. They might be like, Jodie Whittaker, the Jedi. She's awesome. We want to see the Jodie Whittaker adventure, and people really resonate with it. And maybe they go, all right, we'll expand on that person. Then they get their own book. Now they get a comic. Now they get a Disney Plus. It's a smart way to do it. But at the same time, it's like, got to have something. Got to have a movie soon.
Because let's face it, Mandalorian is, quote unquote, the riskiest thing. In some ways, because it's the least connected to our Skywalker saga.
Do you think the temptation is that they'll start bringing that? Like, do you think that they will use the Mandalorian as the springboard to fill that period of time gap now that it's a hit and people are on board? Like, you could easily expand that right out and go, hey, this is what the Republic's doing, or the New Republic's doing. Like, you could, or do you just keep it small, keep it that, like, 'cause they've talked about spinning off and doing things like, now that they've got a solid anchor in that time period, like that is like the thing, the post Return of the Jedi thing, like more so than the books. And people read the books and great, but as far as bums on seats, people talking about it, Baby Yoda, like that's the thing now. So it's like, it's a similar thing. Like they basically want to try and create a Mandalorian effect where it's like we've created a thing that we can build, we can spring off now. That's an anchor point that you can always go back to.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want it to spin off too much because you think it's then diluting it, and there is actually only so much content we can absorb.
Yep.
I'm speaking as someone who's currently watching 4 nights a week of various versions of Survivor. There is only so much content I can absorb.
There's only so many betrayals and tactics and challenges and stuff that one can take.
Yep, blindsides and all of that. You think it isn't as much of a risk to spin off a known thing, but I think people do enjoy new things by the same token. Like Rogue One, when you think about the movie releases, was in some ways the riskiest. Yes, it butts up right against Episode 4, but doesn't have the same characters. Yes, Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, but let's face it, you're not.
Yeah, there's no Skywalkers.
No.
And this is the whole thing of removing themselves from that Skywalker crutch or whatever. And that's why they've been very specific about like end of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this when you were on last time. It's like, well, you can continue that story, but now it's Rey's story. Yeah. Even though technically, she's a Skywalker, okay, whatever. That doesn't really matter in the future if you want to go forward, but at this point they're like, we can't go forward. We're not going any forward. From that, time has stopped with Rey on Tatooine looking at those twin suns with BB-8. Time in Star Wars has stopped. Yep. So we're going back. Like we've got hundreds of years we can fill in, but at the moment that's what we're doing. Yeah. So when they're fully prepared to start peeking forward, we'll just have to wait and see. But I don't know. Like it'll be curious to see what happens at Celebration. I always sort of round up back to Celebration because I think, especially with all the guests, for the most part, I have on, it's something that connects us all because we're either going or we've been or we know. Or obviously, we're going again. Mandalorian season 2 will probably be the biggest thing. I think some of this Luminous stuff drops the day before or 2 days before. Yeah. So maybe they go, hey, if there's a book out and there's revelations in that, then we can bounce off those at Celebration and announce more stuff. Yeah,
I think it drops just in time for you to download it and read on your flight over.
Well, I watched all of Resistance Season 1 when I was on the flight last time, but this is a shorter flight because I can fly directly to LA, so I don't have to go to LA and go, oh, cool, now I've got to go another 8 hours to Chicago. But, Obi-Wan is potentially not dead in the water, but it's in a holding pattern. We won't see. Dallas was sure Ewan McGregor was going to turn up. I'm like, dude, I don't know, man.
He might show up, but I don't know if they've got a panel in them.
Well, I don't know what
are they going to? Yeah.
Like, what can you can't like?
We're filming.
Well, they won't be filming until next year. So if they'd been filming nowish, like they were supposed to, great. Show me 30-second clip of Ewan McGregor walking in the desert, and then he pulls his head up, and he's got a bit of grey in his beard, and everyone goes, ah,
yeah.
Lights come up, great.
Show us, behind the scenes type of thing. We'd all lose our minds,
but there's not much to show, and obviously Cassian coming full circle back to that. That doesn't start until next year as well. I don't think.
I think they're filming later this year. I think I saw Diego on something, speak on one of the late night shows, saying that they're filming later this year.
Okay, well that seems more likely than Obi-Wan.
Yeah. And so he might be there. Alan, you reckon Alan Tudyk will probably be there?
Yep.
Because he's just great value to have. Yeah. And I hope Diego's there. I think a lot of friends of mine also hope Diego's there.
Well, the photo opportunities. I did put a thing on Twitter that I was saying, do you think that the Baby Yoda puppet will be there? Like people going, hey, do you want to go get a photo with Anthony Daniels, or you want to get with a real person, or just the baby Yoda puppet just standing there. I'm saying they should find a way to make it animatronic so it just walks out onto stage. And imagine the Mandalorian panel and baby Yoda walks out onto the stage like a little robot baby Yoda.
Yeah.
It'd be like when they roll BB-8 out.
Oh, I remember watching that BB-8 footage for the first time. I was at work and I just lost my mind in the office.
How is that real? How is it doing that?
It's real.
Which is so weird because we've seen R2-D2 roll around for years, but for some reason because the way that it worked, you're like, how are they doing this? Is this some sort of weird special effect? It's like,
I think it's also because of the way he rolled and with his head.
Yeah.
It was just so
you
different.
expect him just to go donk straight like
Yeah. So with Baby Yoda, I think I said on Twitter to you, strapped to Pedro Pascal
just comes
in
out
a Baby Bjorn.
That'd be great. Like I think, Mandalorian season 2 panel, and I think it drops only a couple of weeks after.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they drop the first episode. I think there's a chance they might drop it. I mean, I know that's a tricky one because, again, it's like, the people in the room get to see it. Other people don't get to see it. But
I kind of think back to...
Because you think a trailer might already be out by then, or maybe they just do it before.
Yeah, it might be a new trailer. They might drop a new trailer then. Yeah. Because you think they would want that in the big room. Yeah. Whereas, when we watched that episode of Resistance, it was a big room, but it wasn't the arena.
Yeah. I mean, Mandalorian's definitely bigger than Resistance. Yeah, I mean, I keep coming back to Celebration, and obviously, like you said, we're going as long as the world doesn't fall into the coronavirus, and we'll worry about that when it happens. We're not going to start worrying about things we can't control.
I'm not going via any place that currently has
it. We'll just have to hope that everything gets all cool and we don't. It could be. I mean, the irony being that we could have the outbreak in Australia and they wouldn't let us leave or something like that. But we can't control any of that kind of stuff. We're miles away. We're not going to worry about that. We're just here for the Star Wars. Imagine that we got there and everyone's like, "Well, I'd like to give you a hug, but
look, just have your flu shots, Josh."
Yeah. Well, I always take my shots. We free healthcare. Woo! We're okay down here. Awesome. Well, Catherine, thank you for coming over.
Thanks for having me, and
Talking
thanks
Star Wars.
for the equipment.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it right now. Now, you've already said you've got a special recording tomorrow, so that means that we'll probably see a new Geek Pod pretty soon.
Yes. I would usually look at an Australian Tuesday or Wednesday drop to not clash with Pepper or Spelt Out.
Well, we missed Pepper last week for one of the very first times because I was really sick, and then Matt was renovating his house and his recording studio area was not suitable for recording. So hopefully we're doing it tomorrow. I'll have to check with him and stuff, but these things happen. Yeah. The Pepper ones, I'm talking shop talk here, but they're not really time dependent. I know there's people like you who tune in every week excited for the new one, but a lot of the time they're just there when they're there and people, move on get on with their lives and stuff. But, so if anybody wants to catch you online, where do they get you if you don't already know?
That Geek Pod can be found on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. I'm on Twitter at Catherine at Catherine_Kneen. Yep.
And it is an underscore, not the word underscore. It wouldn't fit. That would be quite.
I'd like to see
Catherine
that.
_Kneen is one word. They've got a really long one. Yeah, I think that's the character limit. That's why we're Star Wars spelt at Twitter and not spelt out, because the character limit's too long. We don't fit.
I'm just trying to think, because Catherine's 9 letters, Kneen's 5 letters, underscore. Yeah, that brings me up to 15.
Well spelled. I think we like 1 or 2 letters out. We can't. I'll have to go. I'll go. But maybe I should go check that now. When we get this up. But you can go to StarWarsSpelledOut.com for all our stuff, TeePublic and all that sort of merchy things. And thanks, Catherine.
Thanks, Josh.
See you soon.
Bye.